Hey there. Have you ever found yourself sitting at home, maybe flipping through the same old TV channels, and feeling like the quiet's just a little too loud? Or maybe you've had a day where the phone didn't ring, the mailbox was empty, and you started wondering if anyone even noticed you were there? If that hits close to home, you're not alone. Loneliness can creep up on us as we get older, and it's something so many of us face, whether it's after losing someone dear, watching friends move away, or just feeling like the world's spinning a bit faster than we are. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to stay that way. I'm so glad you're here with me today, because we're going to talk about how to shake off that loneliness and bring some warmth back into your days. Now, I know it's not always easy. Life changes as we hit 60, 70, or beyond, kids grow up, routines shift, and sometimes it feels like the connections we used to count on just aren't there anymore. But loneliness isn't a life sentence, and it's not about how many people are around you, it's about feeling seen, heard, and part of something. That's why this matters so much, because you deserve to feel that spark again, no matter your age. In this video, we're going to walk through 5 simple, heartfelt ways to overcome loneliness, things you can start doing right now to fill your days with a little more joy and company. These aren't big, overwhelming steps, they're gentle ideas that fit into your life, and I'll share some stories along the way to show you how they've worked for folks just like us. Let's start with something that's closer than you might think, reaching out, even in the smallest way. I know, picking up the phone or knocking on a neighbor's door can feel like a big ask when you're out of practice. But it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Sometimes, it's just a quick hello that opens the door. My friend Marjorie, who's 68, felt so alone after her husband passed a few years back. She'd sit in her kitchen, missing their old chats, and the days just dragged on. Then one afternoon, she texted her niece, just a simple, "Thinking of you, how's your garden doing?" Her niece called back right away, thrilled to hear from her, and they ended up talking for an hour about flowers and recipes. Marjorie told me it was like a light switched on. She hadn't realized how much she'd been waiting for someone to reach out, until she did it herself. Now, she sends a little message to someone every few days, and it's turned into a lifeline she didn't expect. You don't need to call everyone you know or write a novel, just start small. Maybe it's a wave to the mail carrier you see every day, or a quick note to an old friend saying, "I was remembering that time we laughed so hard at the diner." It's like tossing a pebble into a pond. The ripples spread, and before you know it, you've got a conversation going. Marjorie says it's not about filling every minute, it's about feeling connected, even for a little while. And the best part? People love hearing from you, even if they don't say it out loud. That tiny step can break through the quiet in a way that feels good, not forced. Now, while we're talking about reaching out, let's ease into something else that can brighten your world, finding a little purpose in your day. I don't mean you need to take on a big project or save the world, though if that's your style, go for it. This is about doing something that makes you feel useful, like you're adding a bit of good to someone's life, or even your own. My neighbor Carl, who's 73, used to spend his mornings staring out the window, feeling like he didn't have much to offer anymore. He'd retired, his kids were busy, and the days felt empty. Then he started feeding the birds in his backyard, just a little feeder he hung up with some seed from the store. Soon, he was watching sparrows and cardinals flit around, and he even named a few of the regulars. Carl told me it gave him something to look forward to, and when his grandson came over, they'd sit together and watch the birds. It wasn't just about the feeder, it was about feeling like he had a reason to get up and smile. You can make it your own, whatever feels right. Maybe it's watering a plant and watching it grow, or knitting a scarf for a friend's birthday. It's not about being busy every second, it's about that quiet pride you get from doing something, however small. Carl says it's like he's part of the world again, not just watching it go by. And when he talks about those birds, you can hear the life in his voice. So, we've got reaching out to spark a connection and finding purpose to give your day some meaning, 2 solid ways to push loneliness aside. Next, let's talk about getting out there, even just a little, because sometimes a change of scenery can change everything. Alright, so we've been chatting about how a simple hello can spark a connection and how finding a little purpose can give your day a lift, two great ways to nudge loneliness out the door. Now, let's step outside for a moment, because getting out there, even just a bit, can do wonders for shaking off that feeling of being stuck on your own. I'm not talking about packing up for a big trip or running around town all day, nothing that fancy. This is about taking a small step beyond your four walls, letting the world remind you it's still there, waiting to share a little company or a friendly face. Think about the last time you took a walk around the block or sat on a park bench watching the world go by. Didn't it feel good to hear the birds or see someone wave hello? There's something about fresh air and a change of scenery that can loosen up that tight, lonely feeling. My friend Betty, who's 70, found this out after she lost her sister a couple of years ago. She'd gotten so used to staying in, just her and her cat, that the house started feeling more like a cave than a home. One day, she decided to walk to the corner store instead of driving, just a 5-minute stroll. On the way, she ran into a neighbor she hadn't seen in ages, and they ended up chatting about the roses blooming down the street. Betty told me it was the first time in months she'd laughed out loud, and it hit her how much she'd missed that. Now, she walks somewhere every day, sometimes to the mailbox, sometimes a little farther, and she says it's like the world opened back up to her. You don't need to go far or plan a big outing. Maybe it's sitting on your porch with a cup of tea, watching the kids play across the street, or popping into the library to flip through a magazine. The point is to let yourself be part of things, even in a small way. Betty started saying hi to the same dog walker every morning, and now they swap stories about their pets. It's not about filling your calendar, it's about those little moments that make you feel less alone. And if walking's not your thing, even opening a window and listening to the sounds outside can bring a bit of life in. Now, while we're on the subject of stepping out, let's talk about something that builds on that, joining in with others, even if it's just once in a while. I know, the idea of a group or a club might sound like a lot, especially if you're not feeling up for a crowd. But this doesn't have to be a big commitment, it's about finding a spot where you can share a laugh or a story with folks who get you. My cousin Ed, who's 67, felt so isolated after he retired. He'd always been the guy cracking jokes at work, but without that, he didn't know where he fit. Then he heard about a coffee group at the community center, just a handful of people meeting up once a week to chat over donuts. He dragged his feet at first, figuring he'd feel out of place, but he went anyway. Turns out, they were talking about old TV shows he loved, and before he knew it, he was swapping lines from "I Love Lucy" with a guy named Phil. Ed says it's not about being there every time, it's about knowing he's got a place to go when he wants a little company. You can keep it simple and find what feels right for you. Maybe it's a card game at the senior center, a book club at the library, or even a gardening group where you trade tips about tomatoes. It's not about signing up for life, just dipping your toe in. Ed's even started looking forward to those donut mornings, and he's made a friend he calls now and then to check in. It's like a little anchor, something to hold on to when the days feel too quiet. And if groups aren't your speed, even showing up to a local event, like a craft fair or a concert in the park, can give you that same sense of being part of something. So, we've got getting out there to refresh your spirit and joining in to share some time with others, 2 more ways to ease that loneliness away. Next, we'll dive into how treating yourself kindly can make all the difference, because sometimes the best company starts with you. Alright, so we've been talking about how stepping outside can breathe some fresh air into your days and how joining in with others can sprinkle a little company into your life, 2 wonderful ways to push loneliness aside. Now, let's turn the focus inward for a bit, because one of the kindest things you can do for yourself is to treat yourself like a good friend. I know that might sound a little funny at first, after all, we're used to looking out for everyone else, right? But when you're feeling lonely, being gentle with yourself can feel like a warm hug from the inside, and it's a step that can make everything else fall into place. Think about how you'd talk to someone you care about if they were feeling down. You'd probably tell them it's okay to take it easy, maybe pour them a cup of tea and say, "You're doing just fine." Well, you deserve that same kindness. Loneliness can trick us into thinking we're not enough, like if we were more interesting or busier, we wouldn't feel this way. But that's not true. My friend Alice, who's 71, learned this the hard way. After her kids moved across the country, she'd sit in her living room, beating herself up for not having more plans or people around. One day, she caught herself in the mirror and thought, "I wouldn't talk to my grandkids like this." So, she started small. She made herself a pot of soup, just because she felt like it, and sat down to enjoy it without rushing. Alice told me it was like she'd given herself permission to just be, and it softened that ache she'd been carrying. Now, she treats herself to little things, a favorite show, a cozy blanket, and it's made her days feel friendlier, even when she's on her own. You can start with whatever feels good to you. Maybe it's brewing your favorite coffee in the morning and sipping it slow, or pulling out that puzzle you've been meaning to try. It's not about spoiling yourself silly, it's about saying, "Hey, I'm worth a little care." Alice even started talking to herself out loud sometimes, just a quiet, "You've got this," when she's tackling something tricky. It's like she's her own cheerleader, and it's helped her feel less alone in her own skin. The beauty of this is it's all up to you, no one else has to be involved, and you can do it right where you are. Now, while we're talking about being kind to yourself, let's ease into one more way to lift that loneliness: rediscovering something you love. I'm not saying you need to pick up a whole new hobby or become a master at something overnight. This is about dusting off an old joy, something that used to light you up, and giving it a little space in your life again. It could be anything: singing along to songs you know by heart, flipping through a photo album, or even doodling on a notepad. When you're doing something that feels like you, it's like reconnecting with an old friend, the one who knows you best. My neighbor Joan, who's 69, found this out after feeling lost for a while. She'd always loved baking, but after her husband passed, she stopped, said it didn't feel right without him to share the cookies. The kitchen got quiet, and so did she. Then one rainy afternoon, she pulled out her old recipe box, just to look, and saw her mom's oatmeal raisin recipe staring back at her. She thought, "Why not?" and baked a batch. The smell filled the house, and she said it brought back memories of her mom humming in the kitchen. Joan ended up dropping some cookies off at a friend's place, and they sat together reminiscing. She told me it wasn't just about the baking, it was about feeling like herself again, and that made the loneliness shrink a little. Now, she bakes when the mood strikes, and it's her way of keeping the good times close. You don't have to be an expert or do it for anyone else, just pick something that makes your heart hum. Maybe it's pulling out that guitar you haven't touched in years, or planting a few herbs in a pot by the window. Joan says it's like she's keeping company with her old self, and it's brought a spark back she didn't know she'd missed. It's not about filling every hour, it's about those moments that remind you who you are. So, there you have it, 5 heartfelt ways to overcome loneliness. Reaching out to spark a connection, finding purpose to give your day meaning, getting out there to refresh your spirit, joining in to share some time, treating yourself kindly to feel at home in your own skin, and rediscovering what you love to bring back your joy. These are simple steps, not giant leaps, and you can start with whichever one calls to you. You're not alone in feeling this way, and you've got so much to offer, starting with yourself. I'd love to hear what you think. Have you tried any of these, or do you have your own way of chasing loneliness away? Drop a comment below and let's talk. If this resonated with you, give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. I'd love to keep sharing ideas like this. Here's to filling your days with warmth and connection. You've got this.